So somebody commented on one of my videos asking me to do a set tier list of best sets to invest into. So if you commented that, I'm delivering on your comments. Hopefully you enjoy this video. So I'm only going to be talking about the Scarlet and Violet era because that's what's hot right now. That's what everyone wants to talk about. So we're only going to be talking about Scarlet and Violet here today. So I'm going to be going from best to worst investments in my opinion, and I'm going to give you guys my reasonings on each one. I'm probably going to get some controversy down in the comments, but I'm here for it. I'm just giving you my opinion on what I think is the best investments right now for Scarlet and Violet booster boxes, and this is going from best to worst, so just keep that in mind. So this is going to be the first controversial one because there's many people on both sides of Surging Sparks, people who like it, people who think it's overpriced and overhyped. My top investment, surprisingly, is going to be Surging Sparks, and let me give you my reasoning why before people go crazy. So Surging Sparks is super hyped up right now, and there are many cards in this set that are super sought after and hard to pull. We see the Pikachu SIR going for crazy amounts. We see other cards. I just saw the Pikachu Gold card now is going for now above $100. Like it was like sitting at what, $60 at release, and it's been getting more expensive. Right now, the Pikachu hype is real, and even other cards in that set are holding very strongly. The Lycia's Appeal, the Hydreigon, the Latios, they're holding very strong. They're not dropping, and there's just a lot of hype for these new sets. And I think that if you can get these Surging Sparks booster boxes at 160, you can still get them for 150s if you look at the right places. I think that's still a great opportunity. A lot of people think it's too expensive, but with the hype we're in right now, I think this could do very well before it gets reprinted. And even after it gets reprinted, people make this huge deal like it's going to like cause, the whole like market of the booster box to crash. It can happen if they do a huge reprint, but so far we haven't seen any huge booster box reprints where it tanks the prices. So for that reason, I'm putting Surging Sparks at number one because of the hype we're in right now. The cards inside of the set are going up in value. A lot of them are also just maintaining value, and just overall at 160, I think this box is still a good pickup. I know there's a lot of people that are gonna say that this set is gonna crash and be overhyped and it's gonna crash in like a month or two. I really don't see that happening, especially because the chance that this gets reprinted in a few months from now is super unlikely. They haven't even reprinted booster boxes of earlier sets from Scarlet and Violet, so I would be very surprised if they did a reprint of the set in a few months. Like, I don't think that's really going to happen. So I think with just the hype, everything going on right now, I think 160, I think it's going to go much higher than that before it gets reprinted. So for that reasoning, I'm putting Surging Sparks at number one. So next is going to be Paradox Rift, and the reason for this is because you can still get Paradox Rift booster boxes at $102, $103 on eBay, because I checked before making this video. You can still get them for that price. And Paradox Rift right now is a year old. I don't think they reprinted booster boxes of this set, if I'm correct. I don't believe they did. And this is one of the sets that a lot of people talk about being a sleeper play, and I think that there's good value here. If you can get them for $102, $103, I think that's pretty low risk at this point. But like I said, I don't think this booster box got reprinted yet, so will they reprint it in the future? Maybe, but I think still at this price, like, that's pretty safe. And Paradox Rift is one of those that I feel like maybe is going to be, one of the sets that does very well, but people will just miss out on it because it's super cheap at the moment. But I feel like with what we've seen with Temporal Forces, that, this set could do very well in the long run as well, and it's started to move up recently, as you can see here. If we look in the past month, it's actually moved up a decent amount, and I guess you can see here it kind of went down in the past couple of days, but it has gone up from like what it was sitting at before, because it was kind of sitting at like 90s for a while. But you can see it slowly started to creep up now, but they're still available for like very low 100s. Like I said, I found them for $102, $103. So I think this is still a great buy because it's a year old and it's only still $100. And honestly, this set is just overshadowed by others, but I think at its price point, it's still a pretty good pickup and pretty safe for what you can buy them at. So for that reason, I'm putting Paradox Rift at number two. So next is going to be Paldea Evolved. Now, I was thinking about maybe putting Paldea Evolved second, but I put it at third just because of price point. Paldea Evolved, it has the Magikarp in it, but the reason why I'm putting this at number three is because I feel like this set, it is good, but it's, it's kind of the same thing with like Paradox Rift a little bit, but Paldea Evolved is a better set than Paradox Rift in my opinion, but Paldea Evolved I think is going to get overshadowed by other sets that are going to come out here in the future. And since this price point, it's at 145 right now, I think people would probably rather spend money on the newer Scarlet and Violet sets than rather go back to like Paldea Evolved. So I think this is still a good play and a good buy because they did do like the restock or whatever you want to call it like a month or two ago, and it was very small. But this set, it's a little bit over a year old now. The chance that this gets reprinted or whatever again, I don't think it's that high of a chance. So for those reasonings, I'm putting it number 3. It's just a higher price point, but it already got a reprint or whatever, so it's pretty low risk. But it's at 140s. Honestly, in my opinion, I'd rather spend $10 more and buy a Surging Sparks booster box and get Paldea Evolved just because of the market we're in right now. But yeah, for those reasonings, I'm putting Paldea Evolved at number 3. Next is Scarlet and Violet base. I made a video, just recently showing you guys that you can buy these booster boxes at $90. A $90 booster box is pretty unheard of, especially nowadays with this market. Scarlet and Violet base might not be the best set of all time, but in my opinion, out of all base sets out there, I think this is like the best one because it still has SIRs and IRs in it. And just overall, to get this at $90, and this set is almost 2 years old now, I think is a very good buy. It already had a reprint a year ago, and I think this is a very, very like the most safe play you can do right now because it's just, you can get them for like $90. So yeah, just for that reasoning, I'm putting it in number 4. It's not the best investment out there, but it's very safe. And if you can get it for $90, that's a crazy low price. So it'd be an okay, set, but one of the best sets for, base sets. I'm just putting it at number 4 here. That might be kind of surprising for some of you guys, but just because you're able to get it for such a low price and that it's a good base set, I'd put it right here. So next is going to be Temporal Forces. You might be kind of surprised that this is not higher on the list, but the reasoning is that the price point, and I don't think this set has gotten reprints for booster boxes, so it's kind of up in the air. I think Temporal Forces is about to hit a year old, and yeah, I don't think they've done a reprint for booster boxes of these. So the fact that right now the market price is around $120, the chance it gets reprinted is possible because they haven't done it yet. And at $120, I feel like it's less attractive. Like if this was like Paradox Rift, where it's like the low 100s, I would put this obviously above Paradox Rift because I do believe Temporal is better than Paradox. But the fact that it's, $30 more than what you can buy a Paradox Rift booster box set, or not Paradox Rift. I'm thinking about Scarlet and Violet base. But since, it's another like $15 above what you can get for a Paradox Rift booster box, I feel like Temporal Forces is a little bit less attractive because of that reasoning. But other than that, I feel like Temporal Forces is still a better set. So it might be worth buying in at this price over Paradox Rift, but there still is that chance that it gets reprinted. And since this is a higher price point, obviously if it gets reprinted, you're going to be hurt more. Temporal Forces, I think the artwork is just better than Paradox. I usually, people compare, Temporal to Paradox, but I think Temporal is better. But just because of its price point, I'm putting it right here at number, what are we at now, 4 or 5? So I'm putting it right here. Wherever I'm at the list, it's going right here. The next is Stellar Crown. I feel like Stellar Crown was a set literally nobody talked about. Like I got a little bit hyped up in the beginning before getting released, and literally just everyone forgot about it. Like nobody talks about Stellar Crown, and that's why it's pretty far down this list, is because I just think Terapagos just doesn't have that kind of following that all these other sets have of these Pokemon. Like Terapagos is the main featured Pokemon, but I don't think anyone out there really has Terapagos as their favorite Pokemon. Like I don't think that's a thing. But this set does have some value in it because it has the Bulbasaur and Squirtle. So, it's possible that, or it's going to, obviously the set's going to go up in time, but it's possible that the set is going to perform decently well just because it has the Squirtle and Bulbasaur. But just the Terapagos, even though I think it still is the most expensive card in the set, people aren't going to be chasing for Terapagos. Like, I don't think that's really a thing. But you are able to still get these at around $102, $103 on eBay. I've checked. So at that price point, it's still very low, but it is a very new set. So for that reasoning, I'm just putting it down here because it might get reprinted in the future. The Terapagos isn't that popular, but it does have Squirtle and Bulbasaur for it. So just at its price point, just Stellar Crown, no one really wants it. Yeah, I just don't think it's that sought after of a set, and just the whole sentiment around it. Just literally, I feel like everyone just forgot about Stellar Crown. So I'm putting it down here. Might be kind of controversial, maybe not, but literally I don't hear anybody talking about this set. And then second to last, we have Obsidian Flames. Now, you might argue with me because the set has performed decently well in the past, even though there's no expensive cards in the set. It's just like a few Charizards. but it's at $125. At this price point, I'd rather buy Temporal Forces than Obsidian Flames, because I just think the artwork in Temporal Forces, there's way more chases, the artwork's a lot nicer, other than just some Charizards. Yes, this is probably going to still go up in time, but I feel like since there just is no expensive cards in this set, it's going to get to a point, I think it's already at that point now at $125, where people just aren't really going to be buying these booster boxes that much because there's really nothing that much to chase. There's no valuable cards. People still, yeah, will open this for just to try to chase a Charizard, but I think that's going to wear off here. And I just think at this price point, you could put your money in better places. So yeah, I don't really like Obsidian Flames. It's, yes, Charizard, but the artwork in that set, I feel like is just pretty subpar. Like, I don't really like it. So just at its price point, and it just doesn't really have any valuable cards in it, I'm putting it second to last. So now you might be very surprised at the last picking, and you might already know what it is if you deducted everything I've just went over. But my last pick is going to be Twilight Mas Grade. Now, this is going to be very surprising to some of you, but I'll tell you why. Maybe you already understand why. Twilight Mas Grade right now is at $160 right now at market price. And the reason why I'm putting it at last is because it's very expensive. And, Twilight Mas Grade is only 5-6 months old right now. And the chances that this gets reprinted, I would say, is pretty high compared to some other sets because it is more expensive than all the other booster boxes I just showed you, maybe other than Surging Sparks. But this is at $160. It's 5-6 months old. It's just pretty high right now to buy in. And I just think that, since there is a chance of a reprint happening closer than Surging Sparks, because, Surging Sparks came out, later, or yeah, it came out later after Twilight Mas Grade. Like, the chances that Surging Sparks gets reprinted before Twilight Mas Grade, I think, is unlikely, because usually, as we've seen how they do reprints, is they reprint sets by how they release. So with that, taken into account, if they're going to reprint booster boxes in like some of these sets that maybe are very expensive, I think Twilight Mas Grade is going to be one of them. So just at its price point right now, I'm just putting it at last because the chance that this gets reprinted, or if Pokemon does reprint any booster boxes, I think Twilight Mas Grade is going to be up there because it is the most expensive one. So yeah, I just think it's high risk right now because yeah, it's just pretty high. It can get reprinted, and I feel like now, the hype and everything, I think honestly I'd rather buy a Surging Sparks booster box over Twilight Mas Grade because they're the exact same price, and Surging Sparks just released and there's more hype for the set right now. So yeah, I'm just putting Twilight Mas Grade at last right now for the best investments. Might be kind of controversial, but I think it's kind of risky to buy in right now at its price point. So that's my tier list. Might be kind of controversial, but that's what I believe in, and that's how I'm ranking these. So comment down below what you think about this tier list. Is it trash? Do you agree with it? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.